Let's say your small business has a problem, like maybe one of your doggy daycare customers had an accident. You might say something like,
"Doggone it!
Hi, Chihuahua!"
Holy schnauzers.
but if you need someone who can actually help, just say,
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
and get help filing a claim from your local State Farm agent. For your small business insurance needs, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today, we are discussing The Perfect Setting, the fourth and final movie in the Winter Escape collection from Hallmark, which originally premiered on the Hallmark Channel on Saturday, January 25th, and is currently available to stream on Hallmark Plus. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, I just can't get enough of Megan and Wendy, please follow us on Instagram, where we are Girls Gone Hallmark. You can keep up with everything new from us over there.
We have a Girls Gone Hallmark Facebook group if you are looking to join a group with like-minded individuals who want to talk about Hallmark. It's Girls Gone Hallmark on Facebook.
And finally, I would direct you toward our website, which is girlsgonehallmark.com. New information is dropping there regularly. And another thing you can do over there is sign up for our newsletter, where you can get regular updates from us about new additions to the website, new podcast episodes, etc.
I have one more housekeeping.
Okay.
Hey, if you want more Megan and Wendy, like more Megan and Wendy without the Hallmark, we have a Patreon.
We do.
Patreon.com/Megan and Wendy.
Yeah.
Did you hear the question mark at the end? We put out 4 episodes a month there. I think it's a good time.
It's a great time.
It's a little more like free-flowing.
It's more Megan and Wendy.
It's more Megan and Wendy.
But it's a good time over there. And right now, through the end of January, we are running a special. We discounted it as much as Patreon would let us, which it is $50 for your first month. Your first
$50?
I'm sorry.
Wowza. I didn't know we were making that much money over there.
50 cents. 50 cents for your first month, your first 30-day period over there with the code FREEJAN. It's not quite free. It should have been almost free Jan.
Almost free.
50 cent Jan. That was too long. So we will leave that code as well as the Patreon link in our show notes. We'd love to have you come join us and you can check it out.
We should have called it More Megan and Wendy.
We can.
Patreon.com More Megan and Wendy.
We could probably make that happen.
Really?
Sure, I'll look into it. Add it to the list. I hear you have some Hallmark news for us.
I do. Mr. Jonathan Bennett was recently nominated for 3 GLAAD Awards. The Groomsmen, Second Chances, and Season's Greetings from Cherry Lane are both nominated in the GLAADs category for Outstanding Film. It's basically fighting against himself.
Yes.
In this category. Also, Finding Mr. Christmas is nominated for Outstanding Reality Competition Program.
It's so exciting. I love seeing them get that recognition.
That's such a win. So excited. I think Finding Mr. Christmas is Emmy worthy for reality competition.
Agree. It was very well done.
Yeah.
Hey, let's hear a synopsis for The Perfect Setting.
An aspiring jewelry designer returns to Belgium to visit her grandfather and hopefully win the Valentine's Day Diamond Contest.
Jonathan Wright directed The Perfect Setting. He has 23 previous directing credits, including the well-received True Justice Family Ties mystery from early 2024.
Am I having a fever dream, or did we see notes that a second one is in production?
I think you're right.
I don't know.
Nothing has been officially confirmed either way.
Sometimes Jonathan Wright and I talk in our DM, so maybe I might shoot him a DM and ask him.
You should.
Yeah, he's a nice man. He's a nice man is what I'm going to say, because we gave one of his movies a couple years ago a not so great review, and he was like, shot us a DM that said, hey, you can't win them all. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Don't you sometimes, I don't forget that the people who make these movies are going to listen to the reviews sometimes, but when they point out that they have, I'm like, ugh.
I feel kind of bad. I'm never here to hurt somebody.
Same. And I do want to say that a friend of the show who I'm not going to name, but someone we are regularly in the DMs with, was like, hey, are you guys going to tell the truth if I ever make a stinker of a movie? And I was like, yes, we will. Kindly, but yes. Julie Kim, Karina Marwood, and Nina Weinman are responsible for the script. Writing partners Julie Kim and Karina Marwood share 9 Hallmark writing credits, including Curious Caterer movies, 3 of them, Mix Up in the Mediterranean, and their debut project, Love Blossoms. Nina Weinman stepped in to write the revisions for this script, bringing her seasoned expertise to the project with an impressive Hallmark resume. Nina has penned several of our favorite movies, including A Carol for Two, Haunted Wedding, and Catch Me If You Claws. Quick commentary, if you didn't listen to our Nina Weinman interview, I suggest you do. Lots of fun insight about how she got started and what's it like being a Hallmark writer. But also in regards to this particular movie, she did the revisions on a 9-day turnaround. They were already in pre-production. That's a real pro right there.
That is a real pro. Lacey J. Maley stars as Abby and is best known for her role as Jess O'Brien in the series Chesapeake Shores. Most recently, she appeared on Hallmark in Betty's Bad Luck in Love in early 2024.
I just want to say that the Hallmark Plus algorithm is real locked in because when I finished watching this, it rolled right into Betty's Bad Luck.
Oh, did it?
Yes. David Elsendorn plays Alexander and returns to Hallmark after starring alongside Rhiannon Fish in My Norwegian Holiday. He's also known for his role as Jan Moss in the series Ted Lasso.
The name Jan Moss makes me laugh. It just sounds like, I don't know, it's fun. I just like it. Hans Royaerts plays Abby's grandfather, Laurent van der Brink. He is a Belgian actor who has 84 previous acting credits, including the previously mentioned Hallmark movie Love Blossoms.
Genesia Lewis also co-stars. We last saw Genesia in My Sweet Austrian Holiday and Falling in Love in Niagara. This marks her 6th project for Hallmark.
Suzanne McKinney appears as Abby's boss, Nadia. This is her 2nd project for Hallmark, having previously appeared in last year's My Sweet Austrian Holiday.
John Koensgen plays Alexander's dad, Peter Remy. I just played it fast and loose with the pronunciation of his last name. John is a Canadian actor who was last seen on Hallmark in My Grown-Up Christmas List.
Brian Froud plays Jules Peters. In addition to his long list of voice work, Brian appeared as Frank in the recent Hallmark Plus movie series Unwrapping Christmas, Lily's Destiny.
The Perfect Setting was filmed partly on location in Belgium as well as in Ottawa, Canada. And let's take a quick break and come right back with our first impressions. My first impression is kind of mean.
What?
And it is finally, I'm just going with it. I said that because I thought maybe I'll revise it, but no time. Finally, a winter escape movie that doesn't make me want to escape the responsibility of having to review it.
Oh. That's how I feel about the upcoming royal movies.
I don't. I think they could be fun.
Oh my God, we're going to duke it out.
Andrew Walker in a royal movie? With Emily DeRaven? Belle?
No.
Claire?
All those look terrible. My first impression is Abby and Alexander might be the most drama-free couple Hallmark's ever seen.
Totally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about our likes. And I just want to say, we mentioned this again in our interview with Nina Weinman. David Elsendorn as Alex. They meet, and in theory, they should be contentious because their father/grandfathers are rival jewelry makers. Mm-hmm. But the reality is they're not operating in the same worlds. They don't really do the same thing. But what I said and what I loved is David Elsendorn can't help but smile the entire time.
Yeah.
So we don't even get like an enemies to lovers storyline. We just get like a, I'm not supposed to like you, but I'm going to anyway because I can't help myself.
It's almost like he has no chill. Like the actor himself is like, I'm just excited to be here. Yeah. Like I'm working. Hey, yes, I absolutely agree with what you said. He's quite charming. I would like to see him in some more Hallmark movies.
Me too.
I thought David and Lacey were a really nice pairing. I thought their characters of Abby and Alex were like genuinely likable. They were kind-hearted. They cared for each other and each other's families to an extent, right? And I thought their chemistry was like natural, like a natural development
Totally.
of chemistry. What I really liked, and you kind of touched on it, like they're super supportive of each other too. And there's like no hijinks. There's no like, I hate the enemies to lovers trope. It was not here. And I also like that there was no like over the top competitive behavior in terms of like the jewelry design stuff.
Yeah, it was enough to let like the father and grandfather be competing, kind of. They didn't need to buy in on that. You know, to your point about chemistry, I thought they had great chemistry too. Before they kiss for the first time, like that night when she goes over there in her pajamas to like help him out.
Yes.
And she says like, I should get back to my work. And then she like looks down at his mouth.
That is so funny. My notes say the same thing. I loved how Alex glances at her lips before leaning in. It felt supernatural and
Well,
realistic.
she looks at his.
I
mouth,
hadn't noticed.
too.
I hadn't noticed her look.
Like it's so funny because it's like very intentional, because whether it was a directing choice or just an acting choice on her part, I was like, oh, like I'm fully buying this moment
so
where she's like, oh,
crazy.
are we gonna kiss?
Yeah.
Like, or should I just should I leave?
That was a good scene.
It was a good scene.
It was a really good scene.
I also thought in regards to chemistry, Lacey has it with all of her co-stars. Hans Royard as Laurent Vandenbrink.
Her grandfather.
Bomba. Yeah, I thought they had a great rapport together.
I agree.
I also thought Genesia Bianca Lewis as friend and coworker Rosie. I thought they had great friend energy when she's like, we kissed last night. It felt like a real conversation friends would have. It
Yeah.
just didn't feel like firing dialogue back and forth.
Yeah.
I thought, and I you know, part of that is like casting these people that work well together, but I also think Lacey kind of brings that to the table.
Like a conversational, like a real conversational energy.
I just think she connects with people
Yeah.
well on screen.
Yeah, I buy that. Okay, a couple things here. The grandfather. I loved him. I love that he wasn't like this stubborn old man who didn't want to change anything. Like I really love this character. And what I liked best of all is that he offered thoughtful advice and he trusted Abby to like take the lead on things.
Yeah.
I really liked that. And I thought it was like super great contrast to Alex's dad, who was kind of an asshole. And they have this like, there's that one scene where they're cutting back and forth of like Alex's dad like ripping into him.
Oh, I loved that back and forth.
Yeah, it was so good. And then we have like right in the opposite, we have her grandfather like being like supportive and like talking her up. And like it was really nicely done.
Yeah, they're talking about the same things, but in different ways
Yes.
from different. Yeah, the editing and the scripting there was great.
I thought so too. There were a lot of great lines from Rosie and from Lacey here. I know that's not her name, Abby. I thought the running joke of "and sons" was really funny.
Yes, referring to Alex's and sons.
Yes.
Loved it.
Thought that was really funny. And then at the very top, the very demure, very mindful.
Yeah.
I love a quote from pop culture. I wonder if it landed for a lot of people. It probably didn't.
I mean, I feel like it made its way so deep. It was like, it spread like wildfire, and whether people know the origin of it, I had to wonder. I'm like, is that an influenced by Nina Weinman's Teenagers moment there?
maybe. Yeah. I do have two more things that I liked. Let's talk about the movie subject of jewelry design.
Yeah.
I've personally, in the movies we've reviewed, never seen this topic done on
Right.
Hallmark. And I thought it was a nice departure because I was like, okay, Belgium, we're talking chocolate, right? I just thought it was a nice departure because it's giving us like a topic I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And I kind of like when my movies,
Your stories.
my stories, teach me something or expose me to something that I'm not familiar with. So I kind of liked all that. The other thing I really liked was at the end that Abby's decision to sell the uncut diamond that her grandfather gives her.
Yeah.
Such a good one for her.
Yeah.
And it was just satisfying. It was a smart career choice. It like was a happy ending. Like I thought it was good.
Yeah, and it was building towards that. It wasn't like a weird departure from what, like in the very beginning, we know she wants to be a jewelry designer. And at the end of the movie, she's given the opportunity to be a jewelry designer. And the through line is there from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And your point about her making a smart business decision, my last note is like, finally a winter movie without a business I don't understand. I felt like it made a whole lot of sense. Like the issues they were having, he was behind financially. That makes sense. Like he lost his business partner and his life partner, right? All of this made sense. And the solutions to it made sense. Like she showed up and helped him make money and paid it off. And
It wasn't like a missing loan that he forgot to pay.
he just got behind in a totally normal way. I just thought, none of this is bending my brain in a way I'm like, well,
yeah. So it made it enjoyable to watch, right? Because you weren't like, ugh.
I wasn't bumping on these dumb details.
Yeah, exactly.
That I know sometimes people get mad at us. They're like, you have to let that go. Okay, but that's not how I work. I don't want to let it go. I want my movies to make sense.
I don't want to let it go.
I mean, sometimes I don't. Look, I can suspend disbelief where it belongs. Like the next book on my to be read list is about Dragon Riders.
Oh God, you didn't go the day it dropped and buy it with.
I didn't stand in line in the dark outside Target. No, and now
Yeah.
it's sold out everywhere.
You'll get it eventually.
I will. Listen to our episode of Pop Culture Club for more Dragon Rider talk on Patreon. But I think let's talk wishes.
I have a few.
Me too. A couple.
While I enjoyed the movie subject of jewelry design being like fresh for me, this movie did follow all the Hallmark tropes, like a formula down to the T. And I mean, I struggled with this last night. I get why we have formulas to movies. Like I understand because having a predictable Hallmark movie is what we're there for, right?
Yes.
I get it. But then like we lean so hard into like the family business is failing. Abby's stepping in to save the day. Alex, the son, is falling short of family expectations. It's like, I just went back and forth with it. Like I love a big swing, right? I like a fresh movie, Magic of Lemon Drops, The Haunted Wedding, the stories that are not within a box.
Yes. But it still very much exists within the Hallmark universe.
Yes.
You know, it's funny because I think of Hallmark movies as a genre, like a superhero movie. A Hallmark movie is not the same thing as like a theatrical release big box office movie for a lot of reasons.
Right.
Not because the talent and the skill aren't there, but because it's an entirely different genre. It's a different way of movie making. And so I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. I think like when you think of, to use the superhero movie example, like there are certain elements that we're going to have. The thing with me is I think you're right. They did like lean on the failing family business and son's not really like fitting into the box that his dad wanted him to. The way it worked for me was that all of those things made sense.
Sure.
It wasn't like the family's Christmas tree farm that doesn't make sense as a year-round business when it's only profitable 6 weeks out of the year is failing, right? So I think maybe that's why it worked, because the storyline was, I could buy into it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying and I agree with you. I also think that because the subject matter was different, if it was about making chocolate or a chocolate shop or something I'm not interested in, I think I would have tapped out.
Yeah. What's funny is I was at a party yesterday and someone mentioned something about the podcast and they're like, you know what she does, right? And I was like, oh God, I need to break out of the habit of being like, oh, I have a Hallmark podcast. Like I don't say it loud and proud, but someone was like, oh, but did the blind ice skater finally find love? I'm like, it's not really like that anymore. Like, you know, kind of was like, I got real defensive of my
Yeah, I was going to say, did you get super defensive? Because I find myself, I get super defensive too.
I'm like, well, I can talk that way about Hallmark movies and talk about how they're too tropey, but you, having not watched 107 Hallmark movies last year, can't.
Yeah.
So here's a wish I had. It may be silly. At one point, Alex is trying to talk to Abby about business and trying to explain why some businesses work better. And they go to the two waffle shops and he's like, look, they're right next to each other. And like, why does one have a line and one the other? I thought they were going to go a different way with that. And I wish they had made the metaphor extend, because what I was thinking is, have you ever heard someone saying like, the argument against this field is too oversaturated is to walk into a grocery store and look at the cereal aisle. Like, if I were to say the world of Hallmark podcasting is oversaturated, who needs my Hallmark podcast? They would say, look at the cereal aisle. Someone didn't say, cereal already exists. I'm not going to. No, there's a cereal that's geared towards children and cereal with protein. There's like cereal for all different. And I kind of thought that's what he was going to do, because their family businesses are very different. Abby's family business is like custom family made jewelry, whereas Alec, like Remy and Sons, is more like mass produced, like let's get it out there on higher scale. And I kind of was like, let's make that metaphor for her here. Like, point out he had good points. Like, they're more visually appealing. That's why their business is successful. But also, they can both exist and be successful because they're meeting different needs.
I thought that entire scene he was talking about marketing.
Yeah, he was. But I was like, there's another point that works here too.
I like the other point.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the way it was done.
Yeah.
I just was like, that's where my brain went. I have one more wish.
Yeah.
Alex disappears because he's disappointed in the choice that his dad has made. And they reconnect at the end of the movie. He's like, I just needed some space. Man, just use your words. Just you tell her that.
Yeah.
Because you and Abby were on this great trajectory and your dad made a really disappointing choice. And it's fine for you to need time and space to process that, but to ghost her, to leave her unread is not the mature choice here. And you don't even need to fully explain what's happening. Just saying like, my dad made a disappointing choice and I need some time to process this, but this isn't about you. And like, give me a minute. I don't love the silent treatment way of dealing with a problem, particularly when the person who you're projecting it towards, this is a very personal thing. But I'm like, look, if people are entitled to like process things the way they need to.
Yeah.
But I feel like the tiniest bit of communication needs to be granted.
Yeah, and I think you are right here. It was unfair for him to kind of ghost her because she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, and like the forgiveness comes up a little quickly for me. There's no choice. There's like a minute and a half left in the movie. She's like, let's wrap it up.
You're funny. I have two more little wishes. My notes basically say, get out of here with that huge uncut diamond just laying around. Like
on the mantle.
And she played with it as a child. Like, you just no, come on.
I know, your $75,000 diamond.
Come on.
Although I did think that was like not enough money for it, right? Because she said it was $2,500 per carat times 30 carats. So
I don't remember them saying how many carats it was, but
in that final scene
that
with
math
her
work out
boss,
to?
it's $75,000. And I was like, oh, I thought it'd be more than that. Is it the process of cutting the diamond that then makes it more valuable?
Sure, I think so.
There's no such thing as a 30 carat ring, but if you were going to buy a 5-carat ring, it would cost more than $75,000.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
that's why I don't know anything about the jewelry design business, but I do find it interesting.
Sure.
My final wish is I was disappointed that Abby didn't win the competition.
I know. She won the equivalent of the Miss Congeniality Award.
Yeah. I talk about like tropes and predictability. Part of me was like, she deserved to win, I thought.
Yes. But then on the other hand, I agree. I wanted her to win too. And on the other hand, I did like that they weren't like, oh, this total no-name comes in and win. And her grandfather's like, well, it's even placing is an honor in this competition. So,
yeah. Though I did think like the scale of their competition was pretty like lackluster.
I also thought it was a little bit unbelievable that she didn't understand the scope of the competition, like why her boss cared that much. She's like, do you know what you've done?
She would have known that the competition is kind of a big
Had
deal.
some notoriety growing up in the industry.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Did you see that?
Okay.
I have just two.
Okay, go ahead.
One is the extreme height difference between Lacey and David.
He is way taller than her.
Yeah, according to the internet, they have a 14-inch height difference. On screen, it looks like about 3.5 feet. He's just a tall man. He's much taller than the actor who plays his father as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's 6'4", according to the internet. I actually thought he looks
he's not-
taller in those
he's not
scenes.
huge,
No, he's
but-
not. But she's 5'2". This is all according to the
she's
internet.
tiny.
Yeah, and so yeah, he's not outrageously tall, but there are scenes where they're walking, and they don't look bad. It's just a staggeringly noticeable height difference.
That is so funny. I did not notice it until the very end, their kiss at the end, when he's like,
oh, did she have to
really
stand on her
bent
toes?
over.
He like picks her up.
But they were in front of a curb. I was like, why did they put like her on the curb?
Yeah, they should
I
have.
wonder. Anyway, that's really funny. Yeah, he is a tall man. What's your other wish? Or, I mean, your other. did you
It's
see that?
small. It's per IMDb. Abby's last name is Vandenbrink. Vandenbrink is her mother's maiden name. Like those are her mother's parents. So she may have had, like, did she have her mother's last name? Did she not take
Oh.
her father's last name?
Interesting.
That's all.
I have just a few. Abby's outfits were fantastic.
Yeah.
The white sweater with the red all right on it. Did she?
Yeah, I did.
So cute.
I loved it.
Tried to look for it. Could not find it.
She wears costume designer check-in. She wears jeans and a button-down, like Oxford shirt so well. Mm-hmm. Similar. It's kind of similar to her Betty's Bad Luck and Love
had a
style.
great- yeah,
she has
she-
great style.
Uh-huh.
She just wears it well. She just looks cool.
Yeah, I think so too. She at one point she's wearing like a navy velvet pantsuit, like pants and jacket with a silk top. It just was on point. I kudos to the costume designer, Luminita, Lungu.
Lungu?
I'm gonna look this person up on Instagram. I need that all right sweater or sweater.
right.
I looked and looked for it last night. So cute.
It was real cute.
Real cute. My other one is we were lucky enough to see a rough cut of this movie for our interview with Nina.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that the final version was heads and tails different
Agree.
than the rough cut. And so shout out to like the editors and the music people and the lighting and whoever do whatever to make it all come together.
I think it was a really interesting lesson for us in seeing the rough cut and then seeing like, now it's been color corrected. Now it's been brightened. Now we have music. This is a fully, because I watched it both ways.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did, because the final version is so much brighter and vibrant.
Yeah, I'm like, there was no music in the first one, right?
No.
It really made a huge difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference. What did you rate The Perfect Setting?
I gave it 3.5 stars.
I gave it 4 stars.
Good job. Hey, thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark, a Bramble Jam podcast. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews in the Apple Podcast system. I have set a little behind the scenes goal for Girls Gone Hallmark in terms of the ratings we receive over there, so you can help us get there. If you're a Spotify listener, you can also rate this podcast, and you can comment on each and every episode. Let us know what you thought of the episode, of the movie. We're getting a ton of way home comments over there on Spotify. So wherever you listen, we got a place for you. We will be back next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.